Hello everyone and welcome to the video for the games I played in October. There were not that many games and very few new games, so it's gonna be probably a shorter video. Let's start right away. I played Fallout Shelter. I played this as a solo game with an unofficial solo mode. So in Fallout Shelter, it's a worker placement game where you have, you have your shelter that you're gonna build. The first level of the shelter, which is you see here on the top, this corresponds to what's there at the start of the game. Then you have workers and you have three types of resource. You have energy, you have food, and you have water. And then there are different things you can get. You can get more workers. You can get buildings here that you're going to put on your level. So basically here it's a two-player game, the blue level and the yellow level. And then you can create those buildings, put them on your level, and then you can use them later on. Now others in the multiplayer game can also use your worker placement spots on the levels that you build, but they have to give you something in return, some resource. Now there are also some objects that you can get here. And the cool thing about this game is that you have like this special that you see here at the down. It's basically your workers can get like a special power. And once they get this special power, so when you get your workers back, you put it on the ladder. And then if you, for example, I go here with a worker that has the L special power, he will basically gain double the bonus here. So he will get double the energy, so he will get 4 energy. And this works for everything. So getting those special powers is pretty cool. You can get them also from those equipment here. For example, this vest here allows you to get the S special power once a turn. So it's kind of cool. You get a bunch of different buildings, and then you have those monsters that kind of invade your. Well, it's not always monsters. It's events that invade your areas. And they're put on those areas, and then what's going to happen is that you're going to have to fight them, and they will give you victory points. This is dice driven, so there's some random in here. You roll 2 dice. And then you get those bonuses, which are the smiley face are the victory points, because whoever has more victory points at the end of the game wins. And at the end of the game is triggered when all the monsters are put on the board, or if somebody builds his 6th building, and this triggers the end of the game, and who has the most points wins. So in solo it's okay, but after some point it's too repetitive, because I think the interaction here could be very cool. But for that you need to play it multiplayer. So I want to try it multiplayer. But it's kind of a cool game. The concept is pretty cool. It's a very small game. It's a small box game. So that's Fallout Shelter. So far I rate this a 7. Then we played Outlive. We played a 3-player game of Outlive. Okay, I don't know why this looks so weird, but this is not how my version looks like. But in Outlive, what you're going to do is you're going to there are a bunch of spots here, and you have workers that have 3, 4, or 5 power. So we have 2 3-power workers and 1 4 and 1 5. And those workers, they can only move 2 spaces. So there, you see here, there are all those spaces around the board. And if I have a worker here, let's imagine I'm blue here, and I can only next turn move here or here or here or here. I couldn't go on the other side, basically. And what's going to happen is if I move with my 5-power worker and they have a 3-power worker here and I move there, well, I can move there, but let's imagine here and they have a 3-power worker here. I'm basically pressuring them because we're competing in this area, trying to survive after the kind of the apocalypse. And I'm pressuring there, and they have to give me some resource based on the difference. So in a 3-player game, we didn't have this very often. So that was a little bit weird. That's probably way more prevalent in the 4-player games. In the 4-player games, it's probably better. And then you have those resources. You can build objects that you build and put them next to your board, which gives you bonuses. Then you can build those buildings inside of your shelter that give you some special power. But the problem is every time you put some people in those buildings, you have to pay the food for them. So you have to get the food so you can pay them, otherwise they die. And at the end of the game, you have to have, you count all your objects, all your buildings you have that are full with people, and all your people you have, and that's basically your scoring. And then there are also each turn an event card, which you see here on the top. And the first player can then pay the amount of resource if he has them to resolve that event. Otherwise, there is something happening, usually negative, that is happening. Like, for example, all your workers have only power 3, something like that. Because the power is also important. If I would go, like, for example, I go here and I will get some ammunition. well, if I have a 3-power worker, I will get 3 ammunition. If I have a 5-power worker, I will get 5 ammunition. So this is also relevant here, in that case, the power of the workers. And yeah, and you're going to play this for six rounds, and at the end you count all your points, and who has the most points wins. It's pretty straightforward. The moving back and forth is pretty cool. You always start with 4 buildings that are ready from the start. You draft them, and those are the buildings you get. There's no more buildings, but they're not built yet, so you have to build them. So based on the buildings you have, you basically have like a strategy that you're gonna base your way of playing on. So for example, I had a building that said I could destroy one of the objects, even if I haven't built it, and I would get the resource for them. So I built this right away, and every turn I destroyed one object and got like 3 resources every time, which was pretty cool. It's a cool game. I'm wondering if it's not better with 4, that you have to think more about, if I go there, then he can pressure me and I lose some resource, and it's really tricky. But I liked it. It was a fun play. So that's Outlive. Rate this a 7 right now. Next game I played, it's a family game. Played it with my kids. It's called, well, Survive Escape from Atlantis. Don't ask me why it's called like this. My version is called The Island, so I don't know. It's a friend of mine that borrowed it to me. So basically you put those tiles in the middle which form the island. There's sand, there's grass, and there's forest, and then there is mountain. And basically your island is sinking. You're trying to get the hell out of there. Now the problem with that is that you're gonna move your guys around. You can put them on boats, and there can be a maximum of 3 guys on a boat, and then you can try to go and reach one of those corner islands. So you're gonna always do 2 things. You're gonna roll a die. The die roll is gonna move something, so it can move either the kraken or the whales or the sharks. The sharks can only eat swimmers, but they move 2 squares. The whales, they move 3 squares. They only hit boats and destroy boats, so everybody falls into the water. The kraken only moves 1 square, but he eats everything. So you have to maneuver around that kraken and the sharks and the whales so that you can put your guys down. And every of your guy has a number below. It goes from 1 to 5, 6, I don't remember. So putting 3 guys there is great if they are like big numbers, but if there are just 2 1s and a 2, well, it's just 4 points at the end of the game. And that's the whole game. Every turn you're going to take one of those tiles. At the back of the tile, it's either an event, so add a kraken or add a shark or something like that, or it's an ability that you can get. That ability could be like, you can fast swim for 3 tiles. So if you have your blue, you can go 1, 2, 3 and swim up to there, just as addition to your normal movements, because you're going to do 3 movements each turn. It's a cool family game. My boy loves it. The layout is always random, so it gives some variability, but there's also some luck involved with the die roll. But as a family game, we liked it a lot. Rate this a 7 right now. A lot of 7 this week. That's all the new games I actually played. I continued to play Stars of Akarios, which I have to downrate, sadly. Down it to a 7 because it was good. I played a lot of games actually, but the story was kind of boring. The prequel, there's prequel Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. The prequel story is great. It starts really very powerful, and then after that, it's kind of the Act 1 is kind of a civil war of a faction that you try to get help from. It's super boring. I didn't like it at all. I got lost in some places where I didn't know where I had to go. So that was kind of confusing. And in the end, there's 3 parts. Like I explained in the last video, there's the battle system in space, which is cool. I like that one a lot. Then there is the exploration on the planets and the exploration space, which I basically try to skip. So I just go through, I just lay out everything and say, I'm going to do that. Don't do the die roll and stuff like that. It's super boring. I don't like it at all. So the space combat was cool, but the story didn't hook me, and it's too long. I don't like campaign games that are too long, and it's way too long. I just finished chapter 1, and then I was bored, and I played like 20 games or something. I don't know how many games I played. Probably too much. 20. Well, it says 28, but it's not 28 battles, because some games are just going through the things and exploring a planet or something, which I did really fast. So overall, it's a cool game, but it's too long for what it is. I felt like the new equipment you got didn't change that much. I had still the maneuver from the first few games that I played. Those engines, I still kept them because they were cooler than the level 3 engines or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. Felt kind of weird. The weapons get a little bit stronger, but overall the evolution wasn't good enough. Now, one of the campaign games that I love is Adventure Tactics. In Adventure Tactics, you have a character. Let's say you are I don't know, an archer, okay? And at every combat mission, you get a level, and you have maximum of 10 levels. But every time you get levels, you get new cards, and then you get new stats, and then you can go cross stat classes. So, for example, a ranger level 2 can then become an archer level 2 can then become a ranger. But if you have archer level 2, you could also go I don't know, something like a priest level 1, priest level 2, and maybe if you have the pre-requirements of priest level 2 and priest level and archer level 2, you could go complete new class, and there are like 25 different classes. This is fun. This is a good evolution system. You play 10 games, you have a whole campaign, and it's cool and it's fun. The evolution system of how you play, it's really good. Here it was so slow, it felt like Gloomhaven, which is boring as hell, because in the original Gloomhaven, which is everybody loves it. No, I don't think everybody loves it. Everybody rates it high for what it is, but I don't know. It's just you have to play 100 games, which makes no sense. Nobody plays 100 games of one game, so I don't know. Feels weird. So I have to reduce the score a little bit because the campaign is not that good. And the two parts I really didn't like. Played some of Marvel Champions, and we are playing right now this box, which is the basically all the Spider-Man boxes, all the Spider-Man villains. And the cool thing is we are playing Miles Morales Spider-Man, and I'm playing Gwen Stacy Spider-Gwen, or whatever she's called. And they are super cool. I really like those two characters. My boy plays this guy. He has some cards that trigger his special effects, which can stun or confuse the enemy or give him tough status. And me, every time I play an event, I can basically untap, so I can block, play an event, do some damage, untap. Next turn I can attack again. So I do basically 2 or 3 attacks, or 2 or 3 attacks, blocks, basic actions each turn, which is super cool, and I really like her. So we played 3 or 4 games of that. We're half through that campaign box, I think. So that was pretty great. I still love this game. Then played some more Fantasy Realms with my boy. And I think I played once with a colleague. It was pretty good. I still love Fantasy Realms. It's a very fast card game. Well, actually, my colleague bought it after we played once. It's really cool because you can play it also with children. It's not that complex. There's just a lot of reading to do. And you have to then check your cards and say, okay, this works with this, and this works with this, and this is pretty cool. And it's a very simple game. You have 7 cards. You draw a card, you discard a card. You draw a card, you discard a card. You can take cards from the discard pile, and if there's a certain number of cards here, the game's over. And then you calculate all the pounds. And one card can combo with another, which can combo with another, which can combo with another, and this is pretty cool. So this is still one of my favorite small games. 9, I rate this a 9. Sorry for the coughing. It's never going away since I got COVID. I don't know why. I played some more Maquis. I actually sold my copy of Maquis because I played on the app, which is 10 times faster. It's a small worker placement game that you play solo. You play some workers, and then the enemies play some worker, and they're basically blocking your path. It's still cool. I like it, but there's a lot of luck involved, which you can't really mitigate that much. If you're unlucky and they place one guy here and one guy here, they block both exits, you're kind of screwed. So it's not easy and sometimes a little bit frustrating, but as a small solo game on the app, it's pretty cool because it's super fast. And that's Maquis, still rated as a 7. We played a game of Ark Nova, still love this game. Rate this a 9. Oh, it's actually ranked overall 4s. That's crazy. It just came out last year, so that's really crazy. So in Ark Nova, you're gonna play some cards. You have you're gonna build fences in your zoo, then you're gonna play animals inside that zoo. You're gonna play projects that give you bonuses and so on. It's a very big, very complicated game, and it plays with those cards here. And every time you play a card, you put it back on the track, and the higher the card, the more powerful the effect is going to be. Like, for example, if you play like a card that says gives you some money, well, the higher you go, the more money you get. So that's basically the principle of this game. And then you're gonna play projects. You're gonna get try to get on those special events here that will give you a bunch of bonuses and so on. And then you have a tracker here for, well, the how people like to come in your track, which is the ticket track, and then you have here, which is the conservation track, which is the blue basically. And once those two markers they cross, game's over, and you count who has the most points. The counting is always a little bit confusing, but still, yeah, this is a great game if you like very heavy Euro games and with a lot of different cards, because each card is unique. Ark Nova, still a 9, great game. Then we played a game of Barrage. Barrage is a very mean game, and I didn't. Yeah, I played okay. Didn't play super great. So basically, you have those barrage that you're gonna build, and the water is gonna flow from the top to the bottom, and every time there is a barrage, it's gonna block here, and then you can use it using turbines and electricity centrals. To actually use the water and turn it into electricity, and this is the base goal of the game. There's also rondel system. Every time you use tools, they're basically used for a certain number of time, and you have to move the rondel all around to move your tools all around to get them back and use them again. You have also special powers that you can get. Everybody has a special, unique country, I think, and a unique guy that gives you special powers. So it's all a little bit asymmetric. And we played a 4-player game, which is really mean, and because people can just put themselves on front of you or divert your water. Basically, if you have the water that's normally going downflow here, but based on where I have my turbines, the water can go then in a different direction. For example, it couldn't go, let's say it's here, it goes down, it should go down here, but if I use the water here and I'm using it here, it's gonna flow down here and then it's gonna arrive here. So you can redirect the water, which is, you need the water here. This makes no sense. There's way too much things in here. There are way less water actually available. So you have to be very careful and to plan your network, and people can put themselves in front of you to block your water. And yeah, it's very tricky, very mean, but it's a very good Euro game. That's Barrage, and that's a 9. That's an 8, sorry. Then we have Kingdomino, a very small game where you place tiles. I like it. We played actually with adults, which was cool. Very mean how we played, but it was really cool. It's a good family game. I rate this an 8. I played some Marco Polo 2. Still like it. Marco Polo is a dice placement game. I think the asymmetric powers are kind of not always working if you're not playing 4 players. So in my case, the second player took the first player took a power that gave him something. He had 2 guys to travel, and the second player took a power that says every time one person travels, he takes one of those bonuses. There's some bonus tiles. Every time you take a bonus tile, he also gets the bonus tile. So I decided, well, I just gonna take a power that completely ignores traveling, and I almost didn't travel at all. So the second player lost a lot of bonus from his special power because of that. So that's kind of a tricky, and probably the balancing is not great for all player accounts, but it's still a cool game. And I think I have to downrate it because I found some flaws in here, and I'm gonna downrate it to 8. But it's still a great game. That's Marco Polo 2. I played some Regicide, very small card game that you can play with a standard deck of cards. It's really great. There is an app for it. Which is very great. It's a cool card game where you're gonna battle all the 4, don't remember the name, the Jays, then the Queens, and then the Kings, and they have more and more power. And each symbol here represents something different. Like this is double damage. This is you're preventing damage. This is you're gonna shuffle cards that you have discarded back in your deck, and then this one is going to draw you cards, and you have always a certain number of cards of hand, and you have to play those cards to get a certain power to kill the enemy. It's a really cool solo game. It's really great. And then we played one more game of role-play adventures. It was good. I actually don't remember. We played it, I think, at the beginning of the month. We haven't played in a while, so that's not. Yeah, that's great. Still like it a lot. You're gonna explore. You're gonna get more cards. We have now a lot of cards in hand. I still like it, but I want to go on with the campaign, and we are playing not enough. So that's that for this. The last thing I want to mention is I played Marvel Snap, which is an app which it's kind of a card-driven game, which is just a small deck of 12 cards. It's really cool. If you can try it for free. I really like it. It's a small card game, 12 cards decks. It's called Marvel Snap. If you like the Marvel universe, you should try it. It's great. So that's it for this month. Very short video, I think. And yeah, see you in the next one.